Alright everyone, it's time for the next garden update. The Swiss chard actually, some of it, has more or less survived the wilt that got into it. It's probably edible, but you know, it's still messed up, so never mind. The collards meanwhile are growing really well. I've already had 2 good meals off of it. Probably get 3 or 4 more in the season. You can see the collard leaves are as big as my hand, some actually a little bit bigger. So it's pretty large and very, very tasty. Lots and lots of morning glory. These will vine up, you know, sort of twine themselves around. As for whether they'll actually get around to flowering, it depends, because we have had a few days that are well below normal. If you get one of those in, I don't know, late August, you're getting a frost, basically. That would kill them off. Lots and lots of flowers. Got a dehydrator now, by the way, set up. I mentioned this on mines. There is now a food dehydrator for herbs, because there's too many herbs here to actually eat. So first load is parsley. That takes longer. Thyme and some of the others only take a couple hours to dry off. I'm thinking just putting them out on a nice hot sunny day, and I'm just going to take care of them that way. But the carrots back here, those are all growing really, really well. Nothing's gotten into the garden so far. At this point, last year, I think by now, the woodchuck had gotten in twice. So the fact that nothing's come in is a good sign that probably they're not going to bother, because the fence is pretty coherent. As far as the turnips, the wilt has apparently been purged from this area, because they're not showing any symptoms, and it's been a good week. So those will be fine. That means lots and lots of steak dinners. But the peppers, on the other hand, yeah, not doing quite so well. They're a little bit fucked up. They may or may not come through. This climate's not really that great for peppers. We'll probably get a few cubanelles and not much else. What I really want to do is have my own greenhouse, and I'll just grow them in there. I won't even put them outside. It's not even worth it. Then the Cosiena, the zucchini, everything else is growing well. These are starting to put out, you know, buds. They'll start to make zucchini. And these are starting to put out their little strings and get ready to vine. The spaghetti squash, that is. And as long as nothing eats them down, they should be fine. The corn and beans are really great, but look at this. It's like a solid block of flowers. That's a good box of tea right there. Most of the corn on this end is already knee-high, and it's a couple weeks out from the 4th. So, no problems there. Big-ass onions. You know, there was I think 3 or 4 that died off. The rest are just fine. These will be pretty large. Be pretty great. And you got your corn poppy and the Cosiena mix in here with these asparagus. Including the miracle asparagus, which is actually now almost as big as that one. But those will be fine. Those will be great. These will come up, make a nice flower patch. There's a plane going overhead. One of the rare planes in this area, because, you know, small town America and everything. These perennials, they're looking fine. You see the remnants of one of the purple iris, actually. It's going nice. Really, though, the star of the garden this year, other than the tomatoes, is really the herbs. That's the best. Those turnips are enormous, but I've looked underneath. One of them looked like it had wilt, so I pulled it out. And it was golf ball sized. It was already, you know, maybe 3 weeks out from being ready to harvest. You can see, though, there's already tomatoes forming. See, these are the Romas. There are some Roma tomatoes there. This one, a couple of those are actually getting pretty large. These ones are coming out. These are the husky cherry tomatoes. I've never had those before, so I'm interested to see how they taste. These ones are forming tomatoes. This is the classic sort of cherry that I usually use. These two, I can't remember. These ones are the Black Prince. These, I don't think have quite formed tomatoes yet. They must be a later season variety, but these are. Look at this. It's pretty good. Actually, there's some azomite clinging to it. These are both producing tomatoes. These are the Cherokee, I believe. Cherokee purple. And then as for the other stuff, you can see the burdock plant here that I had. This used to be in a bed. I plan on digging that out, taking some root cuttings and trying to propagate it, have its own bed, because this area will be permaculture next year possibly. or out back. And I really, really want a lot of burdock because I've had burdock soup now, and I actually really like it. So I want to have more, more of it. I want to make my own burdock soup. It's really simple. It seems to be just strips of burdock root with some sort of buttery, chickeny broth. That's basically it. But there's going to be a lot of herb preparation, a lot of tea preparation soon. So there's going to be a lot to report on. Probably have extra garden updates for some time in August. Maybe through the latter half of July through August, and maybe even into September. Because you got to realize some of these plants, they're cold hardy enough so a light frost won't bother them. Like the chamomile doesn't care even if there's a deep frost. It'll still stay alive. Apparently it's a perennial in this climate or something. I'm not actually sure. Or it dies back rather and then quickly comes back up. But I've been gathering herbs like a motherfucker out here because they're so tasty, putting them in basically anything that's cooked. And, you know, I've got to weed that center a little bit there. I can almost reach that without having to put a hand in the soil. And these. And look at that nice carrot. That's going to be real tasty in a stew, which is exactly where a good proportion of these are going to go. There's going to be a nice buffalo stew at some point. There's a local vendor at the farmer's market that sells buffalo meat. You wouldn't believe how much better it is than beef. And this is the plant that's been behind me, by the way, to people. It was having some difficulties. I think it was terribly pot bound. So I expanded it, put it in a nice mix. There's about 5 handfuls of azomite mixed into that soil too, and then fertilized it with kelp meal. I realize I have to drain that a little. I did earlier, I'll do it again. But it's already beginning to recover. It's already greened up. It's pretty good. This particular one, I didn't realize it, but it's 3 separate plants. This one may not survive. The other 2 are fine, though. They'll be great. So, yeah, there's a lot of greenery out here. Cabbage over there. Some doing better than others, of course. But the tomatoes are stealing the show now, along with the turnips and herbs, which is great because those are 3 of my favorite things. That's about all. Peace out.